Hey guys, so we're going to now start on pages 336 and 337. So we're still talking about quadrilaterals. Remember, quadrilaterals are shapes that have four sides. So here is our question. We're wanting to know, is a square a rectangle, or is a rectangle a square? That is what we're going to try to figure out right now. And so one way you can try to think about this is to picture it. That means to just look at some pictures. I see here a picture of a square and a picture of a rectangle. I notice that they both have four square corners. They both have two pairs of parallel sides. Remember, those are, if something's parallel, the opposite sides are an equal distance apart and they won't ever touch. Also, now we get to see some differences. For the square, all four sides are the same length, but in order to be a rectangle, two pairs of sides have to be the same length. I like to say it like this: opposite sides are the same length. This side is the same length as that side, that's a pair, and this side is the same length as that side, that's a pair. Another way we can think about these two questions is to model it. What they did is they created a table and they just checked off, okay? Four sides, four angles, square, check, rectangle, check. Four square corners, both got a check. Two pairs of parallel sides, both got a check. Two pairs of sides that are the same length, they both got a check because these are the same, these are the same. These two opposite sides are the same, the top and bottom are the same. Now here's where we got differences. For a square, all four sides are always the same length, but for a rectangle, that only happens sometimes. This is the rectangle that has all four sides the same length, but not this one. So I know we went through that page rather quickly, but we've been talking about squares and rectangles for a few days now. All right, you ready for the back? Let's do it. All right, number 2 says, what is an attribute of a square that is not an attribute of every rectangle? So they're asking us, what is something that all squares have that not all rectangles have? And all squares have four sides that are the same length. All squares have sides, four sides that are the same length, but not every rectangle does. Number 3, does every rectangle have all the attributes of a square? So it's asking me, do all rectangles, like that's a rectangle, that's a rectangle, that's a rectangle, does a rectangle have everything that a square has? The answer to that is no. Because remember, rectangles don't have, these rectangles that I'm pointing to, all four sides are not equal. Now, number 4 says, does a square have all the attributes of a rectangle? Is a square a rectangle? And the answer is yes. Because in order to be a rectangle, you just have to have four sides, check, four square corners, check, and then you have to have two pairs of parallel sides, check. A square just happens to have all four sides are the same size. All right, number 5 says, is every square a rectangle? I just said that. Yes, and then we need to explain. And here's how I want you to explain it. A square has all the attributes of a rectangle. And we just talked about all of the things that a square has that a rectangle has to have. Rewind it back if you are a little fuzzy on that. Number 6, is every rectangle a square? So we just looked at some, y'all. These right here, would you call these squares? No. And the reason that it is not a square is because all squares have 4 equal sides. So in order to be a square, it just has to have equal sides. So this is a square and it's a rectangle. This is a square and it's a rectangle. But this one is just a rectangle. We can't call it a square because all squares have 4 equal sides. All right, very quickly. These at the bottom are easy, y'all. Number 7 says, circle all of the quadrilaterals that are squares. That's a square. Nope. No, that's a square. Remember, this is called a this is called a rectangle. This is called a parallelogram. Remember, a parallelogram just has to have 2 pairs of parallel sides. This side is parallel to this side, and that side is parallel to that side. Number 8 says, circle all of the quadrilaterals that are rectangles. Okay? Yup, rectangle. No, I'm not sure what you are. Y'all? Rectangle. A square is a rectangle. And of course, we know that's a rectangle. I want you to make sure that you understand, in order to be a rectangle, you have to have 4 sides. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. You have to have 4 square corners. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. And to be a rectangle, you have to have 2 pairs of parallel sides. This one's parallel to that one. This one's parallel to that one. And also opposite sides are the same length. This side is the same length as that one, and it's parallel. This one's the same length as this side, and it's parallel.